Do 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 do
Spiritual sex and candy, yeah.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Spiritual Sex and Candy, gorgeous beings. It is episode number 4, Beyond the High, Chasing False Pleasures. We're going to talk about all things numbing today. Hi, Jeff.
Hello. So nice to see you, my Shamanic Sweetener.
It's so nice to be seen, my Freedom Jedi. What's going on today?
So many things that we're going to talk about later. Like literally, my day has been completely here and with you guys. Like, you guys don't know that yet, though.
Right. Yeah, I kind of just wanted to start this off with a little bit of an energy check. Just stop a moment, come in, take a deep breath with us. I have some anxiety going on this afternoon. We have so much exciting stuff happening today during the podcast because, Jeff and I can't do anything and give ourselves time to prepare for anything. Jeff doesn't work that way, though. I try to work that way, but
I did try to do this the right way. I even had it listed.
he sort of did. I love you, Jeff.
Mhm.
So today's been a crazy day, and we're gonna you need to stay to the end of the show. If you know, you have to stay to the end of the show to find out all the goodies that are happening with Spiritual Sex and Candy today. Before we get started, though, of course, if you've made it this far, you can tell by our title that this is not kid friendly, so don't fucking listen with your kids around. We talk about sex and drugs and rock and roll and say fuck a lot. So if you are easily offended, this is your time to clutch your pearls and move the fuck on. I know. We're going to talk about getting high. Right. Clutch your beads and move on because we are not the ones. We're not the ones. Jeff, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, good. I'm Jeff. I am your Freedom Jedi, and it's just so nice to be here today, and it's so nice to be with you, Heather. Anytime I can spend time with Heather is a good time.
He says that now, but really, if you listen to the rest of our conversations ever, that might not be so.
All of our conversations have been very pleasant. Thank you. Today. Mostly.
Today. Right now. Right now in this moment.
Right now in this moment.
I'm just kidding. Goodness, we're gonna talk about numbing today. We're gonna talk about. I'm Heather. If you're new here,
yeah, you should probably say hi.
I do some energy work.
You do some energy work. This woman.
I'm a little bit of an oracle. I do some things.
She does some things.
I do a few things. I'm multifaceted. I've been a healer for as long as I can remember. I took my first energy classes when, I don't know, I was like 18 or 19. I've been doing this for a little bit.
I got it. Yeah. And I can tell you that she is probably one of the best people I know when it comes to energy work. And I'm around a ton of them. So really, Heather is everything. There's a reason why I'm on this show.
Thank you. I appreciate you. So we have both done some numbing.
Ooh, yeah, numbing
in our lives. Numbing.
Yeah. I might do some tonight.
All things numbing, right?
All things numbing.
I say I'm the queen of numbing.
And we all know. Okay, so
we all numb. We all numb.
So I don't want So let's start this off with numbing is natural,
Yeah.
okay? And what we're talking about is just a way to kind of look and see if it's actually working for you or your version of that is working for you, right?
Well,
And have an
and
awareness around it.
is the numbing outweighing the other things in your life, right? Because at some point,
Mhm.
the numbing, you're not present because you're always right, or you don't do work because you numb that. So, yes, numbing is one more. We're going to talk about how numbing can turn into unhealthy way of not coping, non-coping. It becomes a non-coping, right? There's coping, there's numbing that helps you kind of cope a little bit and disconnect a little bit, and then there's non-coping numbing.
Yeah. And guilty of all that this week, probably. Um,
Me too.
quite literally.
Yeah, me
Um,
too.
yeah. So, how would you define numbing?
I would say any activity that mm, that takes you away from reality, and for you to not deal with an event that's going on in your life or life in general, I guess would be. What's numbing for you?
That is a really good definition.
Yeah,
I,
I
I,
think because it's there's such a wide variety of things, and some are so here's the difference though. Some are socially acceptable and some are not socially acceptable. So we don't think of the things that are socially acceptable as numbing.
Mhm.
We only think of the things that are not socially acceptable.
Yeah, you know,
Right.
although cigarettes and cocaine are exactly the same addiction, they hit the same pleasure centers for the same amount of time with the same amount of half life.
Right.
If you saw somebody walking around with a mirror sniffing every 15 minutes,
Right.
you would think they were
That's not
fucking
socially
crazy.
acceptable.
Right. But, if they're smoking on the street, now we can't smoke indoors anymore. There's all kinds of,
Right, that's super restricted. Right, but plug in alcohol.
right.
Right. I mean, you can plug in alcohol, I mean, alcohol is depressant. It does not do the same thing as
No.
cocaine. But the point is that, right, it's socially acceptable to go out and have a drink. We actually encourage it in our society here in the US to go out and drink. Um, and so a lot of people I don't think realize, and I come from Sin City. You guys, I'm in Sin City. We are all about the party 24/7 life. So we are the epicenter of numbing.
Yeah. Like,
We're the epicenter of numbing here.
and, things like, so one of the ways I numb a lot now is it's TV or playing games on my phone. So those are my
Yeah,
two major,
right. So we don't think about that. Social media gives you a dopamine
mhm,
hit. TikTok is not to call them out, I'm on there. I have nothing against it. Like right, but that scrolling and those 3-minute videos. Can I tell you, if you don't, I have set if your video is not I will scroll within 30 seconds. I'm horrible. Like, if you are not catching me and you're dragging on and it's a 10-minute video, like, I'm not listening because it's not, I lose attention very quickly.
everyone
Um,
does.
Everyone does, right? So reels for me, like the food reels, like I've always thought, like, come cook this with me or something like that. Yeah, the dopamine hit, right? Um,
Yeah,
Games, gamers.
yeah. I have
Game-
one that I'm on now. It's King's Landing, King's something or another. It's a match game basically. Like, put three together. I don't even put it this way. I play it for hours and I can't tell you what the game.
Right.
Okay, because it really is that kind of just I'm done. I have to shut down. So here we go. Um, and some of that is my fault, right?
Oh yeah.
Because what I've been doing a lot lately is working until I'm exhausted and then like have to numb out instead of actually following my systems, following my stuff. Like I I I I, I teach this shit. Like
Right.
you know,
Yeah, when
I
you get off of what you like, write your whole message to other people and like, oh yeah, maybe I should get back to doing that.
maybe I should.
I've had that same thing over the past, especially since I got out of the hospital. So like, if you guys know and you've been listening, I got out of the hospital 3 weeks ago and stepped out of the hospital and did the first episode here, right? And because we have so much stuff going on and we're new and we're putting all the things that I can't wait to talk about until the end, which I want to talk about right now, by the way. Like I'm not truly focusing on myself. And so over the past, and the energy's been crazy, believe it or don't believe it, but the energy has been super crazy over the past couple weeks. Everyone has said so. And so like I'm trying to reconnect with myself. I was just saying over the past couple days that I feel very rigid, like my whole body feels rigid, and to get realigned with myself. And then I have to go, okay, what am I not doing for myself that I should be doing? Right. I'm numbing so much that I need to find my dopamine not scrolling on social media.
Yeah.
I need
Yeah.
to find a different
So
yoga, exercise, dopamine in positive ways, which is not numbing. It is healing and, growth over mindless numbing as well, right?
yeah, I mean, I guys, in the last 3 weeks, I've released a podcast. So a week before that, so 4 weeks now. I decided 5 weeks, last 5 weeks. I got my certifications for the tantric Reiki. I got my certifications for my tantric practitioner. Released a podcast. Released a workshop that we'll talk about later. Did all kinds of stuff at work, like in my with one client. I call it work. I call it my day job. My one client is pretty much my day
Right.
job. I work 30 hours for them at least. Just in my dad going to the hospital, you into the hospital. One of my best friends died. Like literally,
Which
blew
these
my
are all
mouth.
prime things that will make you want to numb, right? Like,
Right.
so you're stressed out, you're thinking about, like, so that's a prime example of,
Yeah, and so numbing. So like not even wanting to even deal with anything,
yeah.
and being and doing all the energy work underneath that
Right. So,
was
like, I'm in the
not
hospital and you
good.
decide, we talked about this a little bit, like,
Yeah.
he decides that he's going to go, I'm in the hospital. And, like, I need him to be plugged into this right now because we decided in a month that we were going to do this podcast. Like, and he picked the date and then I was sick and and then he's like, oh, well, I'm going to start taking, like, I'm going to finish up this tantric stuff. And so then he does this huge energy level shift while I'm in the hospital. And then he's like, oh, yeah, well, yeah, you're right. We should be like doing some stuff. It's just been like,
I spent 3 days. I spent 3 days and I thought I was high. Like had not taken
yeah.
a drug, not done anything.
I mean,
It
I
was
guess
like
that
Heather.
would be a good dopamine. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, that's a really healthy way to, you broke up your energy, you opened up to some things, you saw some, like, and you had to experience it that way in order for it to be impactful, right? Like, you have
Right.
to, just one of those. I mean, I kind of am too. Like, here's a sign, here's a sign, here's a sign, here's a sign, here's a sign. Okay, we're gonna make you stop, and I'm gonna throw, like, here you go.
here you
You don't
go.
want to pay attention. Here you go.
You're
Right.
going to
And it's
deal
like
with it.
so in your face, you know.
Yeah. It was actually funny because that all started because of we were talking about this podcast and what was going on, and everything that we were looking up kept saying tantric. Like literally
Right.
everything we looked up. And I'm like, I can't do that without certifications. Like honestly and truly, it people out of all the different things that, no one's ever gonna ask you for your certs unless you're talking about tantra. Because so many people say, "Oh, well, I study tantra." No, you and trust me, I would be the one of the people that would now that
Right.
I've been through it. No, you really have not until I went through
Well,
this level.
and let's just preface this, you guys, with always do your research about someone that you're going to be doing energy work. Please, I've been doing this for 30 years. Uh, and there's so many people out there, and I see so many people. Don't be just letting anyone up in your energy. Take your for you, you know. And if you can't visually see them, please don't work with them. And I'm not saying that it can't be done long distance. I don't mean it like that, but like, please, please, please
You want me
don't.
on video.
Yeah. Or at least have had a video conversation with them. Because I do a lot of energy work where I just tap in and, but I do that on people that like I really know. I don't
Right.
ever go, hey, I'll just, you have to be someone that is in my,
Right.
we're having a conversation before I'm tapping in and doing energy work on you. Just FYI,
Exactly. And I talk to you all the time about I don't do a lot of things because I don't feel comfortable in some of the energy work. Like
Yeah.
I am certified to do things that I won't do.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
literally just won't. I'm like, no, I'm not doing past life shit. I'm not. I had somebody open me up and I bled it was like I was bleeding for 3 days.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that to anyone. I won't. If I don't know that I can deal with whatever shows up,
Yeah.
and contain it in such a way that it's a positive experience for them, I'm not going to. And this person was pretty good. Don't get me wrong. And she tried, but it wasn't. It wasn't someone I was working with, and not somebody
Yeah.
that I'm close with. Which is why
Yeah.
I no longer do like the 15-minute crap. I won't even do that. And the stuff that I do in my free energy sessions type things barely scratches the surface of what really is going on. So
Right. Yeah, I don't think people realize we'll do a whole show around that energy work because I don't think people realize like what it actually takes and entails. And yes, anyone can do it, but when you master it and we'll have a whole show around that.
okay, I do have to say, can you imagine that I'm the one that brought that up?
Right. Yeah, so
Okay.
I've been trying to tell Jeff for like a while, dude, just step into it. And then he's like, I don't wanna, which is what people tell me all the time. I'm always the bad guy. I always am the one that's going to tell you the things that you need to hear, but even though you might not want to hear them. And I'm okay with being the bad guy. I was out with my friend yesterday and we talked about that, and I go, I'm okay with being the bad guy because I always come from a place of love, but I'm always going to tell it. I'm a straight shooter. I'm going to tell you how it is. And I appreciate when other people do it to me as well, though it might not seem like I receive it well. I'm like, fuck yeah, but I will always come back and go, you're right, and I needed to hear that, and whatever the case may be, it might take me a while, but
and my first instinct is to flip you off.
right.
I normally when if I flip you off, if my very first instinct is to flip you off, I really need to hear that, and
right.
You
and everyone else, it's okay. It's okay.
Exactly.
So what have you, when we say we've done all the things, I can't say, I'm not a gamer, so I've never gamed, but I have used sex, I've used drugs, I've used alcohol, I've used all kinds of different drugs at different times, depending on what I needed to numb with. And it was for spurts of time throughout. But I came from a family of numbers. So my dad's parents numb, This is when, when you do sessions with me, I talk about this, like going back to where did that all start, my memories of my dad's family, like going with my dad's parents, my paternal grandparents. Anytime I went with them, it was to the Moose Lodge. If we went back to visit and we were spending the weekend, we went to the Moose Lodge because they could sit at the bar and drink, and my sister and I could run around, and we would go in the hall with the big moose head, and we thought it was the coolest thing in the world, and we would bang on the piano, and there wasn't hardly anyone in there in the middle of the day, and no one cared. Like those are my memories of my grandparents when I was little. I mean, I can picture the trailer they lived in and stuff like that. And my dad followed suit in that. Very much so. When I was growing up, followed the numbing suit. And he, of course, my parents are boomers, and they were in the peace, love, and all things, only they stayed in that state of peace, love, and rock and roll, and so yeah, I mean, looking back, my dad did lots of drugs that we didn't even realize in the moment when we were kids, that as adults I was like, oh, and like on a regular basis. It wasn't, and then my sister is the opposite of that, where my sister, no drugs, won't hardly take ibuprofen, and I followed suit, and I didn't have any coping mechanisms, and so but her numbing is reading, so she escapes in books, and my sister will read a book in 2 hours. Like she's a speed reader. She can tell you every detail of that book. But my dad used all the ways to numb, and when my mom had all the painkillers and whatever through her process that she needed, but most of the time she just hit the old devil's lettuce. My parents smoked. Well, that was the other thing. My parents smoked the marijuana, cannabis. I don't know what we could say anything. We say fuck on here. They smoked weed like people smoke cigarettes. And when I say that, I mean that. Like their joints were as big as a cigarette. And if we were leaving the house, there was one for on the way there, one for on the way back. They were smoking in the car. They were, if they were, depending on where we were going, depended on how many they took with them, on a regular. Which I still am avid cannabis, by the way, because I think it really kept my mom alive for many, many years after she was supposed to be living. Yeah. But I've used all the things: meth, coke, alcohol. There are drugs I won't do because I know better. There are certain things that I just won't do because I'm like, I would like that. I think I might like that way, and I think that's not a good idea.
I'm allergic to morphine, so I didn't do anything that was that based.
Fair enough.
Other than that, I have done everything else that you can think of. Some of them unwillingly.
I have to say that I'm blessed that I'm out of the game because of all of the fake. Like, at least I got out of the game right in time, because at least now, like then I knew what I was getting. And when you went to buy, you went to get a pain pill off of someone, you knew that you were getting that.
See, I didn't get into pills, and I didn't really smoke weed. Like I have smoked weed, but weed itself makes me hungry, horny, nauseous, and gives me a headache all at the same time.
Yeah, that's not like a great combo.
It's not a great combo, and so like what I end up feeling is like I gotta go.
I mean, my main thing is for chronic pain. Like I use it for my pain. It works better than any pill, and it makes it manageable. Like I take ibuprofen. I try not to take a whole lot of that. So, because I have plenty wrong with me that I could be. And I just it's a choice. It's a choice because I was on all those things at one point, and when I started becoming tolerant to it and building up a tolerance and knowing that I was going to need a higher dose, I started snorting it instead. And when that happened, it was all about the same time where they were like, well, we could get everyone was transferring over to pain management. They're like, we're going to, you can't be on this in marijuana, which cool. I'm going to choose the marijuana. And it was like all perfect timing, divine timing, right? So, like, I just ended all of that about
Yeah.
the same time. And really, I was ready to, because I was like, this is not, no, because I don't want to be on this full time, forever for the rest of my life. I think it causes more damage than it does good for most people. Don't come at me about your pain meds. I'm not saying you should stop taking them or that any of those things.
And we're not doctors.
I'm pro do whatever you need to do to live your best life, but
But in this conversation, it's really about looking. It's
yeah,
looking. Where is it that you're doing these things? What is the purpose for it? What is it helping you or hurting you?
right.
You know, because I'm going out. I am going out tonight. I'm probably gonna have a drink or two. I'm going out more because I have been on a computer all day, and I should probably get out and like see people.
Right.
You know,
Well, I think that's where like one of our questions is there a difference between occasional numbing and chronic numbing patterns and yes, that's what we're talking about, right? Is the difference between those two things
yeah,
is
definitely.
um
No,
and I don't know, is it numbing or is it going and living and enjoying yourself? So that's the thing. Like if you consciously go into it as this is a release to go have a good time and to let go a little bit and to be in this moment instead of, like I think that's way different than going days or weeks on end of numbing. If you don't do anything but go home and game every night, so that you forget about reality, then that's not a healthy numbing, right? If that's not, that's not healthy.
or
It's
or scrolling, or
or scrolling or right,
doing the
like
dead
when
scrolls,
I'm
or
so overstimulated that I can't even put the like I can't watch a whole episode of a show without picking up my phone. And it's scary because like I thought about this last night because my best friend keeps telling me, turn my phone, my bestie Tina, turn my phone off, turn your phone off. You need to turn your phone off. You need to, And I'm like, hi, gorgeous. Speaking of, and there she is. Right, she's telling me all the time, like, turn your phone off. And it's true because like um I can't even watch a whole episode of a TV show because if a commercial comes on, I pick up my phone. And then I'm like, oh, I'll watch a video or two while this commercial that I've seen 1,000 times comes on. And then I miss the next 3 or 4 minutes of by the time I'm tuning back into the show, right? And I'm a little neurospicy, if you can't tell. And so that feeds into it.
well, it actually takes you. By the way, it takes you about 5 to 10 minutes. I think it's 8.5 is the actual technical. Don't hold me to that. For you to actually start to change your attention. So to actually transition from one thing to another in your
Oh, and give
brain.
the next thing your full attention.
Right. So scrolling on TikTok, you're not getting any full attention at all. Right. Most of your
Right,
Facebook stuff is not at all. Okay. So you really have to do 8 minutes ish
right.
to get into a show, right? Or and 8 minutes to leave the show. If you notice, your commercials are set up so that right after you get there and get on, they give you a commercial. And it's only short
Oh,
enough for you to not lose that thing.
right.
Okay. It's all
Well, of course it
done
is.
on purpose.
Yeah,
Right.
of course it is.
So
It
that's your
keeps you
nerve.
numbing in some way, right?
Right. And so it was funny. I was joking with Heather that I had 20 tabs open earlier today. Right. I
Right.
had 20 some. I'm like, I looked up and I'm like, all my tabs are real small. Let me see how many I have open.
I
And I
have
had like,
9 open right now.
Right, I have something like that open right now, but they're bigger, and I can actually read what each one is. Because the problem was,
Right.
I was looking for a tab, I couldn't find the tab, and, and I was going back and forth between a whole bunch of different things. I was adding all kinds of stuff. I mean, if you've ever, yeah, some of the stuff I do opens up different things. So, like, and I wasn't closing them. I know how I got there, right? And but yeah, we definitely have this thing that we think that we can multitask, and it
Yeah,
really
you're
does.
not ever really multitasking.
Right, you can only do one thing at a time.
You're just
So
not concentrating on fully on what you're doing.
right, as I sit here and I look around, I'm like, ooh, ooh, I have gotten really sloppy. I have like 10 different programs open. I have 12-ish.
Well, that kind of happened to me today with what we're going to talk about later,
Mhm.
because Jeff loves to like, you know what I need from you today? Like, I have this whole plan, and then he's like, you know what I need from you? I need you to stop doing everything that you had
I,
planned
I
and
said
do this thing for me. And I'm like,
I did
yes, you
actually.
did.
I did, and
We're
you know
going to
what?
do
And
this
the worst
thing,
part is,
and I need your attention right now, which for my ADD is not good, because like I'm really trying to get a plan and focus and have like, okay, these are the things I need to do. And I know on Tuesdays that I need to keep myself very zen like to come and do this, because this is a vibe for me. And I don't
yeah,
want to be thinking of 50 things while I'm talking to you guys, which is what's happening today. Is I'm already thinking about the end of the show, and we're halfway through.
well, you know what? We can tell them what's going on. So, look, we're going to be doing a contest,
Yeah.
and we're not going to give you all the details right now. We will give you the
No.
details at the end, but there's a big contest coming, and guys, like, I can tell you, it's been really fun to put together. Um, it has been a lot of thought. We have talked this through. I know that it sounds like we threw it at the last
Right.
minute, but
We did not.
this is like 2 weeks worth of conversations that kind of like resulted in, oh, today's the day. You know, um, and we realized today was the day, and so I mean, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Heather has done some amazing work. Uh, and it's odd because it's normally things I would do. So that's one of the other things. Heather's
Arguments?
maybe,
It's not
um,
an argument.
but it's definitely a transition, and it's definitely something
Yeah.
that even as I looked at it, I'm like, so one of the graphics, she did the graphics for the contest, and I asked her to do the graphic, and because I'm doing 6 other things right now, and so she and I looked at the graphic, and the first time I looked at it, I'm like, let me just go make one real quick. And I'm like, why would I do that? Like, why? Like, let her create. Like, it's her
Yeah.
creation, and it's okay. It's a nice graphic, and it works. It's everything's good. Everything was beautiful. But I was like, let me go and do it. And I'm like, ooh, Jeffrey, you know,
Yeah, he goes, go be creative. And then he goes, wait, I would do it this way.
yeah.
Well, if it were me,
If it
and
were
for me, that's very personal. So the other side of that is in my neurospiciness. When somebody comes to me and tells me that, the first thing I want to do is go change it, because I feel like what I did is not good enough, which is
and
my own block. Like, we talk about energy. This is like
yeah,
raw, right? That's a block for me. That is I don't want to call it a trigger, because it's not like, I hate that
mhm,
term. I really try not to use that term unless it's like something major, and but it's one of those things that it's like, okay, well then no matter what I do, it's not good enough, and then I have to rein that thought back in and go, and so then I tell Jeff, fuck off, and I'm going to do it my way. If it grossly, like, if it tweaks every part of your brain to look at it, then please tell me, and I will clean,
yeah,
and like the graphic, I was like, is this too busy? I thought it kind of looked too busy, but then I'm trying to think of how would Jeff do it. So that's the other thing, right? Like, what would make him happy? And then he goes, maybe a little. I'm like, okay. And so then I went in and played with it some more.
mhm.
But yeah, so it's a
It,
process.
and it's getting so. This is actually really good communication skills too. That we got to a point that we
Right.
can actually talk to each other in a way that, okay, well, I could say, okay, great, and I can notice that that's what I'm thinking in my head. Like I
Yeah.
should do this, but it's because I'm so used to doing it, and I've been doing it for so many years that
Right. That he's like, I'm like this, like, teach me how to do it so that
right.
like you're not always going to be able to do it for me. Like,
I have
and that's the idea is like I need to learn how to do it, which causes stress and anxiety, right? So then we have to pay attention to ourselves because if we don't acknowledge and we try to control all the chaos and all the things that are going on, this is where the numbing starts to come in, the negative numbing, right? Because we get overwhelmed, we get because so now you've pushed yourself to the point because there's not a true like balance that you feel like you need to go numb instead of I'm just gonna go out and have a good time, right?
I went
Am I drinking? Because this is something I learned for myself was so something would happen in my life, something major, and then I'd be like, I don't have time to deal with that. That's where my numbing came in. Like, I don't have time for all that right now. I was a single mom. I had shit going on. Um, you know, life, my life. And of course, I will talk more and more throughout the podcast about my life. But, you know, I always say my daughter probably, I don't know where I would be without my daughter. And people say that all the time, but like, I literally got pregnant with my daughter a couple months after my, my mom passed, right? And I always say, I don't know where I would be because she always kept it in check for me. So, like, something would happen and I would, like, maybe drink for a while. And then I would go, okay. And it would maybe be a month or two, right? And then I go, okay, that's getting a little out of control. I need to rein that back in. And then I might not drink or do anything for months and months and months and months and months, right? And then something else major would happen. And I'd be like, I am busy. I'm trying to like survive over here. So that's the other thing, right? I'm like living in survival all the time, and so many of us do this. So like I'm in survival, I'm in survival, and then I have this numbing, right? And so it's like I'm gonna fit in some, I'm gonna go out and get shit faced, or I'm going to drink every single night. And of course, drinking is the go-to. For me, it was uh, more often than not because it's socially acceptable. So I can go buy a bottle, I can numb for a while, and then I go, okay. I would use other things more casually.
oh, see, sex is my number one.
There you
So
go.
my number one coping skill on so many different levels is sex. And I started recognizing that, which is why I stopped having sex. Um,
Right. Yeah.
so because I realized, oh, this is my whoa, this is a coping mechanism. It does all kinds of beautiful things, especially when you're on the apps and you're doing all the, let's face it,
Yeah.
I'm not out having relationships.
Right. Right.
You know, I'm out. I'm not talking about being in a healthy relationship. I'm talking about going and hooking up and doing the whole hookup culture. We talked about that a little bit last week.
Yeah.
Um, and all about the birds and beasts and the rest areas, right? So when you start having that kind of mentality, and that's a numbing, and that's a way of feeling accepted and a way of feeling belonging, and
Yeah.
pick me.
Oh
Ooh,
yeah.
like all of that happens with those apps, right? And I see it, I recognize it, I know it, and I'm not saying that I don't ever use an app. Heather knows
I
I
have,
do,
I mean, I still,
but
yeah, that's one of those that's hard for me because I did in the end use it that way. I mean, I guess I did, but it wasn't really bad up until after my divorce. Like, and I was only divorced for a short amount, or married for a short amount of time. But it was like, after that, it was like, okay, then I started using it more of a numb to feel something different. And then sometimes it was Coke and sex. I had one partner he was a pretty regular, and he would call me, want to party? And I'd be like, yes, I do. Because it was, a way to just have a moment of not thinking about anything else, which was okay when it was with the same person. Which I never, I mean, but then I put myself in other not safe positions with men sober. Um, and that was where it became an issue, right? When you're not being safe about what you're doing is, I think, especially when it comes to sex, that is when you know you have to reevaluate. Are you using it for numbing? Are you,
And if I will tell you if you're
because
using
there's
the
a
app,
difference between numbing and escaping.
yeah.
I think that's where, because they're not
Uh,
always the same thing.
Not always the same thing, but when it comes to the casual sex and the hookup culture, I think that they are very much related. Unless you're really, really on this conscious level, like you and I have been lately, um, possibly it could be an escape. Not like tonight's probably an escape more than a numb, right?
Right.
Um, and I don't plan on going out and having sex. Just I might. It's not off the table. Not off the table, but it's not the intention of tonight. Um, Tonight I need somebody to say, "Wow, great job." Um, you know,
I think the difference is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I think the difference is, do you feel like you need to go do it or do you want to go do it? And I think those are the difference. Like, so when I was like, I need to go do this or I need to feel a certain way or I need to, I think that was where it's an unhealthy, you know, I need to come home and have a drink after work. People, when you look at the definition of alcoholism, there are many, many people out there who are by definition alcoholics, because alcoholic doesn't mean that you get up and put whiskey in your coffee every day. That doesn't define what an alcoholic is. And working in the medical field, that's one of the questions we ask is like, how many, do you drink and how many drinks do you normally have? And I've had people like not, I had a coworker one time who had to fill out the paperwork and she goes, I didn't really know how much my boyfriend and I drank until I put that down on paper. You know what I mean? Like, I never thought about my dad as being an alcoholic, but he drank every single day. And he was a shift worker. So he would get up and have, like, on his days off, he would get up and have coffee. And the next beverage that he had in his hand was a beer. And his favorite saying was, it's noon in Ohio, which meant by 9 o'clock in the morning, because we're on the West Coast,
Hmm.
right? Like that he could justify, he would always joke and say, well, it's noon in Ohio, meaning it was okay to have a drink.
Yeah. See, I with alcohol, the only time I could possibly there was a year that was crazy, but everything was crazy, and alcohol was just part of it at that point.
Oh,
Like,
I've had those too.
like that was just like
Yeah, I went through a period where I was with someone who was drank a lot, and we did a lot of.
a
It was a
lot.
little bit of everything. It was,
Right. It
we
was.
were. I had we used to have gas stations called Rebels. The big plastic
Mhm.
64 ounce with the styrofoam in the center, right? It keeps your drink cold for forever. We each had one of those, and 90% of the time it had alcohol in it. Like, we just took them everywhere we went. We made a drink before we left. That's what I drank on throughout the day. There was a big, and it was for like a year and a half or so, a year
Yeah.
that it was like that. Um, so, and then after that, I probably didn't do anything for a long period of time. But we were pills and meth and
That's me and
ecstasy
Beth.
and Molly, and I don't think it was Molly. I think it was ecstasy. Um,
As a matter of fact, this weekend is the first time in a long time I actually thought about drugs. Like, ooh, that sounds good, and I'm like, ooh, where did that come from? Like,
okay,
I
yeah,
was,
let's rein back in. And what do you?
yeah,
Yeah,
let's,
yeah, you had to rein yourself back in.
oh, yeah, like had to really stop and think. I'm like, well, it's festival season, okay, so Molly comes to town around festivals. So in spring, right around now, Molly starts showing up. In Out of all the drugs that I've ever done, that's the only one that I would probably do again because it comes in. it goes away, and
Right.
I'm not
So
using it.
I have never done Molly, but I like ecstasy. I like ecstasy because
It's the same
of
thing.
all the feels. Well, I thought Molly was compoundly different.
Technically, they are interchangeable.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, you're
Yeah.
probably not getting ecstasy these days. You're probably getting what you would probably call Molly, but
Got it.
it, it
Got
but
it.
it's
See,
the
I'm
same
getting.
thing.
I see. I'm so out of the loop. I don't even know anymore.
Now
Yeah.
I
4
haven't done
years
this in
ago,
over
5
10
years
years.
ago, I. So the only thing now I don't really have a desire. I smoke on a regular basis. Um, I don't have a desire to do anything else. Like when if I'm in enough pain that I need something, I can. Um, but I don't like it's not to numb in any way, shape, or form. It's not to do that, and so I'm very conscious of it. And part of that is just being like when I have friends that when I go over there and we have parties and I'll have a couple of drinks, but like even that now I almost get instant hangover. It's horrible. It's like I mean my energy has changed so much, my body chemistry has changed so much that I know once I stop drinking, I'm good while I'm drinking. I don't get drunk. And then within about 30 to 45 minutes after I stop drinking, I feel like I have a hangover. And I'm just like, ew. So I drink a couple times a year. I might go and have a cocktail once in a while, but I don't. I'm definitely not setting out to numb.
I think that's one of the problems with me in the bar right now is that I don't necessarily want to drink. The last time I went and had pineapple juice, I had like 3 things of pineapple juice, and that made my stomach
No.
all messed up. The pineapple juice did. So it's like, and I don't like cranberry juice. I don't want to drink the pop because the pop makes I can actually feel my blood pressure go anymore.
Oh, yeah.
All the freaking energy work. Like,
Yeah.
like we keep going back to the energy work, but
It,
honestly, once you start like really being in tune with your body, and like I had McDonald's yesterday, and I swear to you, I felt it right here. I'm like, oh my god! Like 5 minutes later, I'm like, I wasn't done with the fries. I'm like, ooh,
when I got out of the hospital, so food is one for me. So food can be another tool to numb, which we have not talked about. So for me, food was a numb, though I was not a food addict, which I had to really learn the difference because I told myself for years that I was a food addict, and I'm not. But I definitely have eaten some feelings, not all the time, but use it as a coping. And so when I got out of the hospital, so right now I'm fighting like being super swollen and stiff. Right, I talked about earlier, like finding my alignment and stuff. Part of that is that like my root chakra is super, like everything that has to do with my root chakra is swollen right now. And because it's that last bit of getting all the sickness out and everything out of my body, partially because when I got out of the hospital, I was super stressed. My anxiety was really high. I did this the next day. I'm trying to like figure out everything that I couldn't do the day before, because it kind of, if you've ever spent more than a few days in the hospital, that coming home is, this huge, it's a thing. And so I finally went to go pick up my prescription, and I'm walking through Walgreens, and I like potato chips are my kryptonite. Like I love potato chips. I love potato chips. And I bought 2 bags of potato chips because they were like $1.99 a bag, and a can of cheese, jalapeno cheese dip. And I came home and proceeded to I am gonna eat my feelings right now. Like I'm gonna eat my feelings right now. And I did. And I ate the whole bag of chips and the whole can of the majority of the bag of chips, but that whole can of cheese I ate. And then I swelled really, really bad. Why? Because I just added a bunch of toxins and I already had all this medication in my system that the hospital had pumped into me. And yeah, my body is still fighting me about it, but you use it, it because, it was a coping mechanism. And so what are some healthy things that we could do in substitute ways to not numb? When we start to
breathe.
get stressed and feeling anxious,
Ooh.
what do we do?
Breathing. First is breathe. Like really, really do a box breath. Um, that's gonna give meditation isn't necessarily there to get rid of all your thoughts, right? It's to give you that separation between you and your thoughts, because you are not your thoughts. You're the observer of that thought, right?
Right.
So once you can get that separation from all of the things, right? Your thoughts, your actions, things like that, then things start to come together. Um, and I guess it really does depend on what you're stressed about too. Like for
Yeah.
me, right now, it's a lot. I have a lot of projects going on, and I feel like I'm not able to be in all the places I need to be at, which is one of the issues with me and Heather. You know, we were talking about earlier. It's like she's taking on some stuff, and I'm so used to doing this stuff, and so like I have to just let her go. Here, it's yours, and I
Yeah.
can't like micromanage it.
And communicate what needs to be done because it's in
Right.
his head. And so it's just on his list of things that might take him 10 minutes to do, but takes me, because I'm learning how to do it. Like, I need time to prep for that stuff. Right.
I've had an assistant ready to go to help me on some things for 4 weeks now, and I finally sent her videos today and yesterday to like get the stuff that needs to be done tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like literally, she's been on board for like 4 weeks now. Like I haven't been paying her for 4 weeks, but
Right.
she's been basically hired, and but I've been there's so many other things, and there's so many things. I still have things that I have to do around the network that there's a whole other podcast that never made it to the new site that we have, and while I was doing everything else with the network yesterday all day, you
Right.
know, it should have been the other one that made sure everything happened, but because it's not in the right spot, I couldn't necessarily do it. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, that's where I'm at right now. It's like I feel like I'm like 4 steps behind on every single project.
So part of this is, so as Jeff is word vomiting about all the things that he is stressed about, which is perfect. I mean, sometimes it's A, get it out. B, evaluate like take a few moments, right? And stop and say, okay, what is the top thing that I need to do right in this moment? And start with that. And then go, okay, what's the second? So, we go back to that like prioritizing. Also,
Write
I
it
think
down.
huh?
Write it down.
Yeah, write it down. I write everything down, by the way. Like, Jeff and I
It's
started talking this morning. I go, hold on a second. Before we start this, give me 2 minutes. And I walked inside and like,
got a
I was sitting on the
notebook.
back porch and I gathered a few things up because I'm very kinetic. I know that I need to write it down. And sometimes it's bullets. Sometimes, I have my own I have notebooks everywhere. But like, okay, is this what I need to do? Okay, cool. I need to write it down so I can reference it and say, okay, I need to get this done, type of thing. But also like, what are things that you can go with the flow with and find some fluidity in what you're doing, right? Like, because when you try to control all the things, like what is it that's completely out of your control that you need to just let go? Like you need to identify that. What is
No,
completely out of your control that like it's not something you have to do, but you're like worried and stressed about it? Like take a moment to clarify, is this something I can control? No, I'm putting that over here. I can't
yeah,
control that. That's out of my control. So I'm going to let that go and I'm going to refocus on the things that I can control and what can I get done. Is it something that has to be done right now? Right? Because really at the end of the day, if you're anxious, it could be excitement or it could be, like today I had anxiety because I'm thinking, A, I'm super excited. And then B, I'm like, okay, and where is this going to take us? Right? Like doing all of these things, the potential is endless. Where is that going to take us? And then that brings up those like fear of success, fear of being out there. Like now it was one thing when it was live on YouTube and now we're everywhere. Right. And so that's like huge for me,
yeah.
it's just gonna be, right? I've just stopped myself and go, it's just gonna be. So stopping and reconnecting with yourself and where are you, and taking a moment to check on your energy and what are you capable of today? You know, okay, these are the things and what order I need to do those in.
Yeah, write things down. The best thing I did for myself in the past week is write things down.
Yeah,
Honestly, I spent 2 hours yesterday just writing out what is it that's in my head because I stopped doing it. I'll be honest with you, I stopped doing a lot of my stuff
yeah,
um because life happens. Life starts lifing and I start, and then it's like, "Oh, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this." And I'm
yeah,
doing the energy work and I'm spending more time in the morning doing meditation and yoga and asanas to get so I stopped doing XYZ because now I have to, oh my goodness, it's 11 o'clock. I have to hurry up and do X, QRX.
right.
So really finding what is that's gonna work for you,
And
having
readjusting it as needed.
as needed. Right. Because and that's probably one of my biggest problems too, because I've had the same kind of routine for such a long time that I'm so far off that routine and so far out of my um comfort zone in some ways, like
Yeah,
not, but out of my comfort zone, and
yeah,
in a lot of ways, and tap in such a different way from where I ever have been. So and know that that's going to happen too, and so maybe you have to readjust. Maybe you have to look at some of the other things. Look back on some of the things that have worked for you because
yeah,
you probably have been through this before, and then things that have worked that are not sex, drugs, alcohol.
right. Right, right, right. Well, and if you are looking to, with that being said, please, please, please reach out if you are looking to, if you are out there and you're listening to this and you're looking to get sober, please go find a group, find a support group, find like-minded people, come have a session with either one of us. Um, please just reach out because it is hard work. It's not easy and
No judgment
keep
either.
listening because we're going to talk about over the next this is going to be going on for a while. We're going to talk about all kinds of things, but please reach out and know that yes, it's hard work, but it is totally worth it to have control over the one thing that you control, which is yourself and your energy. Because that was the biggest thing when I got sober, like I quit doing coke, drinking, and smoking cigarettes all at the same time. And the only thing I kept was cannabis in my life. And I get, and so of course I turned to food because I got in this depression. I tried to stay away from everything and I gained like, 60 pounds or something like that because I ate an apple pie in 2 days. You know what I mean? And now I'm like super conscious of that as well. So like um, and that could go the other way, by the way. So
Mhm.
like now I have to give myself grace in that department as well, because then that can become a whole nother issue because now I'm controlling, yeah, a whole
Right.
nother
I
food
feel
issue, which could be
I
a whole nother
it
thing. Okay.
Yeah, and a whole nother addiction. Like, oh, I
Yeah.
gotta eat super healthy and I gotta do this and I gotta do that. And you think that's all great until you're, 102 pounds and soaking wet and,
Well, in
throwing up
my
in
body, because of the way that I ate before, because I'm one of those that does not eat during stress. So I would go all day and not at work and not eat anything. And I'm not a morning eater. So I don't even eat my first meal until midway through the day, which is not good when you are, on the go all the time. And so then by the time I got home and I would relax and then that's when my body would want to eat. Well, now I'm eating all evening long, which is still a habit that I work on and think about. Like I literally last night was like, I need to just eat dinner and stop eating, and maybe something a couple hours later, but like I will munch, I'm a muncher. And it's because I don't eat a lot during the day. And I have to convince myself to eat during the day. So that's the other, because there is a process in this, you guys. When you become sober, when you're learning different techniques, and again, we can't fit this all in an hour. So we will be circling back around to these topics and these will grow and things like that, you have to find a different behavior to do in the meantime. And crochet,
You can't.
color,
Yeah, you
you
can't
know,
do. You can't do nothing. It's all
you can't
about
do nothing. Yeah.
your
Yeah.
body
It's
will.
all about change. But you're totally worth it. You are totally
Yes.
worth it. And you find different coping skills and you heal the reason why you numb, right? Through this journey, it's really about letting go of the energy attachment to the reason why you're numbing to begin with, right? And because really you numb because you don't want to feel the feels, right? That's really what the numbing is about. It's not just about stress. It's about when a life event happens, you go, I need to grieve this. And I literally would like, okay, I'm going to celebrate this person and drink. When my dad died, I celebrated him for a couple months, which means I drank a shit ton for a few months. And then I went, okay, this is, not productive, or I can't keep living like this, or whatever the case may be. And then
That was me and math. Math I did for 3 months. 3 month stints. It would be like 3 months, and I would be like, "Ooh, wait a second! Like I can't feel my body anymore. Like I, mind you, I'm a functional addict, so
oh
it's
yeah, me too. Me too.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
super functional.
Yeah. And because I came from functional addicts,
Yep.
so yeah,
So yeah, I
there's
my
that regards too.
my biggest problem with my ex, who was an addict, was that he wasn't he got dysfunctional.
Right.
Like we would still be together had he not stolen the rent money.
Yeah.
At the end of the
Right.
day, we would probably still be together.
I got to do a lot of free drugs.
I did a lot of free drugs when I was meth. I don't think I
So
actually paid for meth ever. Like it
yeah,
just
that's
was.
the scary thing, is when you can do them for free.
It
But
was
we have to
just in
wrap
that
this
space.
up
We
because
do, yes.
but we're gonna come back next week. We're talking about soulgasms. I'm gonna leave it at that, just soulgasms. But we have some
Yay!
really super, super exciting stuff happening that if you made it this far, we fucking love you. Thank you so fucking much for listening this far. We're running a contest because we are now everywhere that you can hear podcasts, right? If you listen to your podcast somewhere, you can find Spiritual Sex and Candy there, which is like such a huge fucking thing for me. I don't even know how to express how I feel right now, because it's like I have all the emotions right now. I have all the emotions about this. This is incredible. So
And if you
thank
find
you
one that
all.
we're not at, please let me know.
Yeah, yes. Please, please. If you go to wherever you listen to podcasts and we're not on there, please let one of us know, so I can let Jeff know, or let Jeff know so that we can get that taken care of. So what are we doing, Jeff? We need people to go listen, right? Like, so the next couple weeks is crucial for this, right?
Right. So, guys, we need your help. All right. So there's this whole window of 2 weeks when you go live on any of the things that's called new and notable. And so in order for us to get in front of more places and more people have to like really hit these spots for the next 2 weeks. Okay. So that's what we're asking. Go to your favorite podcast place. If it's Spotify, if it's iTunes, iHeartRadio, wherever it is. Okay.
Yeah.
And what we need you to do is we need you to, number one, subscribe. Number two, listen to an
Yes, please
episode.
subscribe.
Right. Listen to an episode, because just subscribing doesn't necessarily help us. It doesn't put it, you have to actually listen to a whole episode.
Yeah, listen
Okay.
to the episode.
And we want you to share. We're asking you, please share for us. Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
share.
we're going to reward you for this. Okay. I am so excited to let you know that we have new merch available. Okay. Miss Heather has done some amazing, amazing work.
We have a merch store,
We
and
have uh
we have a merch store. We have
we
a
do.
merch store, which I
We
was
have some
working on.
meditation pillows, meditation pillows.
We have it
Oh,
all. We have shirts. We have right now. I think I have a half a dozen different designs on there. You can get them on coffee mugs, shirts, sweatshirts, tank tops, phone cases, you name it. Our stuff comes on it. This our main logo right now is up on some stuff. You can get our main logo. We have some other fun things, and we'll be adding to the store. So we're launching merch. So tomorrow that link will be in my link tree everywhere. It will be attached to descriptions of things,
and it'll be in Spiritual Sex and Candy. It'll be on the website.
and
Um,
it'll be on the website.
that is the one thing I did not add today.
I know.
I knew I was forgetting something.
Um, and so you will be able to find it within the next 24 hours. And we would like to share a little bit with you. So you're going to go to your favorite podcast. You're going to subscribe. You're going to watch an episode. Okay.
Listen to an episode.
Listen to
Podcast
a episode. Sorry. We're live. If
We're
you're
live.
watching right now, you're going to listen through the whole episode. You're going to go to our website. You're going to take a screenshot that you listen to it, right? You need a screenshot.
And
You're going to
then
go to
you're
our
going,
website.
then you're going to message us. You don't have to go to the website. You're just going to email us at info@trueawesomenetwork, all one word, .com.
And don't
Info
worry, we'll link it somewhere.
Yeah, if you go to Spiritual Sex and Candy, there all the information is there. You can go
Right.
in, click it. You can see the beautiful, beautiful graphic that Heather created. And because she did
And
it
you
really
learn more about it. It'll take you It'll take you to the email. Is that what
well.
it will
Yep,
do?
you can click it right in on that page. There's a link
Okay.
to mail to you, but it's on the stuff. So yeah, and just let us know.
So
Okay.
now through the 5th. So you got to listen. You have to screenshot that you listened and subscribe. You have to email it to us at info.trueawesomenetwork.com, all one thing, right?
Yep.
All one
Oh, yeah,
word.
trueawesomenetwork.com.
Right. Or you can find that link on our website, sexandcandy.com. And this is now through May 5th, and then we're going to give away some swag and one grand prize winner, and we're going to do this randomly, is going to get a 30-minute oracle reading with me, yours truly, your Shamanic Sweetener. And Jeff, what are you pitching in with this?
You're going to have a 30-minute session, true desire session with me, where we're going to go through and look at what is it that you really want and start clearing away energetically, clear away what's in your way to getting there.
There you go.
And you're going to still get some swag too. Don't worry. We're not going.
And
We
yeah,
are
the grand
not.
prize will get some swag as well.
Yeah, I think they're going to get something really special. So I have something in mind now. So
Yay.
you never know. You never know. And I'm just so excited. And we have other winners. It's not just the one grand prize. The grand prize is
Yeah.
amazing because you get to hang out with us.
I know what we
Hello.
forgot. In your email, the subject line of your email needs to be this secret word that I'm going to tell you right now. So if you made it this far, the secret word that needs to be in the subject line of your email when you send your proof is orgasmically. And the only way that you can hear this word is if you listen to this whole entire podcast, because this is the only time it's going to be said. It's not going to be in any of the posts. It's not going to be any of the things, except for that you're going to have to go listen to the end of. You're going to have to listen through episode 4 in order to get the magic word, which is orgasmically.
Because we are living orgasmically, people.
Because we are living orgasmically. What do you got going on this week, Jeff? Besides, I mean, obviously this is quite a bit, but what do you personally have going on this week?
Guys, May 4th, we are going to have the most amazing Odyssey. We're going to go on this amazing trip together, okay, to really unlock your true awesome life. And when I say that, I really mean it. I'm pulling out the tantric tricks. I'm pulling out all the tricks to really start you in a space where you are just going to love living your life.
I love it.
Love it.
I love it.
How about you, Heather? What's going on with you?
Oh, I'm still trying to get healthy, you guys. To be honest, like I'm making merch in the background. I'm working on things in the background right now. I am trying to get myself where I feel like I can have the energy to be live and all the things as the cat meows to for the universal sign that that's what I need to be doing. So right now I'm just kind of behind the scenes. I haven't posted much on social media other than I'm going to be posting the shit out of this contest. And that's what I'm focused on over the next couple of weeks. So I can't wait though.
I can't
I'm
either.
so excited about this. I will be
Guys.
live on TikTok again probably tomorrow night. I think I'm going to pick back up tomorrow night and yeah.
Yeah, because we got to create chat. I mean, hello. How are we
Yeah.
supposed to create shit?
Right. Create and chat tomorrow evening at 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. Because I'd be West Coast, baby.
You West Coast. I'm East Coast, baby.
Thank you. Oh, are we going to do a card? Are we doing a card?
We can.
We have so much going on that I don't even know. I don't even know what's going on today.
I don't. You know what? I gave up. I gave up knowing what. I'm just going with the flow. You keep telling me go with the flow.
I love it. Commit to what the life that you want to live. Just imagine what your life would be like if you spent just as much energy living as you have been surviving, and what a difference your life would be if you just committed to the life that you truly want and you spent as much energy living as you did surviving. What would your life look like? Commit to that.
You guys, my first reaction to that was, let me flip you off. 10 of Swords. All right. So on the other side of that, right? Not everyone is your friend.
Yeah.
Okay. And you've been through so very much. There's a lot that you've been through. There's a lot that and you have to give yourself grace and allow yourself to really. So it's funny because with that message and this message, right? It's look at you've been through so much and you've been surviving for so long.
Yeah.
What does it look like? I want to go right back to what does it look like to commit? What if you can, and you don't have, you're not going to feel great about it right now. You had 10 swords
Yeah.
at your back. It's not going to be
Yeah.
easy. It's not going to be comfy. It's not going to be, you have to pull the swords out.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to heal those wounds.
And then you have to pull those swords out and clean those wounds. And
and it's not fun. It's not comfortable. Trust me when I tell you, if I am so glad that I have Heather in my life to work with me through this, this time, because I've been dealing with, I've been dealing with things that my logical brain, because my system is to go logical and I can't go logical. And so I'm like,
yeah, so we have many a conversation around this subject. Yeah. So next week, that's what we're going to talk about actually is soulgasms and spiritual awakenings and what does that look like? And yeah, that's what we're doing. So
does that feel
come hang out with us next week. And
I thank you. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for coming and hanging out with us.
Thank you for being Heather. And I promise you that, all is well in our world.
Yeah. Always growing.
Always growing. All right, guys. See you guys next week.
Love you.
Everyone here at the True Awesome Network asks you to please subscribe, like, comment, and spread awesome.